Part 1. The Gift of the Nile. Origins of Egyptian Civilization. Long before stone rose into pyramids and pharaohs wore crowns of gold, there was the river. The Nile, flowing endlessly from the heart of Africa, gave Egypt its life. Each year the waters swelled and spilled across the land, leaving behind a ribbon of black earth amidst the desert. It was this rhythm, the flood, the planting, the harvest, that shaped a civilization. The first Egyptians built villages along its banks, planting barley and wheat, raising cattle and geese. They wove papyrus reeds into boats, then mats, carved clay jars for grain, and watched the river with reverence. To them, the Nile was not only water, but a god, a gift of the divine. In time, tribes and chiefdoms united into kingdoms. Around 3100 BCE, a ruler named Narmer, sometimes called Menes, brought Upper and Lower Egypt together, wearing the double crown of both lands. With this unification, the story of Egypt truly began. Part 2. Gods and Myths. Ra, Osiris, and the Journey to the Afterlife. The Egyptians lived in two worlds, the seen and the unseen. To them, the universe was alive with gods. There was Ra, the sun god, sailing his golden bark across the sky by day, battling serpents of darkness by night. Osiris, the lord of the dead, who had been slain by his brother Set and restored by the love of his wife Isis, ruled over the afterlife. Horus, the falcon, avenged his father Osiris, and every pharaoh was seen as his earthly incarnation. Anubis, with the head of a jackal, guided souls through the halls of death. The afterlife was not a place of shadows, but a continuation of life, a field of reeds where the dead would live forever, provided their hearts were pure. At judgment, the heart was weighed against the feather of Ma'at, goddess of truth. A heart heavy with sin was devoured by a monster. A heart light as truth was welcomed into eternity. Priests recited spells, families prepared offerings, and scribes copied the Book of the Dead onto papyrus to guide the departed through the perils of the underworld. Death was not an end, but a passage, one that every Egyptian prepared for all their life. Part 3. The Age of the Pyramids. Pharaohs of the Old Kingdom. In the days of the Old Kingdom, pharaohs built monuments that reached toward the heavens. The earliest was Djoser's Step Pyramid, designed by his architect Imhotep. The first pyramid, a stairway for the king's soul to climb into the sky. Later pharaohs of the Fourth Dynasty dreamed larger. At Giza, Khufu raised the Great Pyramid, its stones stacked with astonishing precision, towering higher than any building for thousands of years. Nearby, his successors, Khafre and Menkaure, built their own pyramids, guarded by the enigmatic Sphinx, gazing across the desert. These were not only tombs, they were symbols of divine kingship, of the pharaoh as a god on earth, bridging heaven and earth. Inside, hidden chambers, golden treasures, and spells carved into stone prepared the king for his eternal journey. The laborers who built them were not slaves, but skilled workers, farmers who toiled during the flood season when fields lay under water. They left behind graffiti, jokes, and prayers carved into the stones, a human voice echoing across millennia. Part 4. Empire and Glory. Pharaohs of the New Kingdom. Centuries passed, Dynasties rose and fell, and Egypt entered a new golden age, the New Kingdom. Its pharaohs were conquerors, priests, and builders of monuments beyond imagining. Hatshepsut, the queen who became king, sent ships across the Red Sea to the land of Punt, bringing back incense, gold, and myrrh. She raised great temples, declaring herself chosen by the gods. Thutmose III, the warrior pharaoh, led armies into Syria and Nubia, extending Egypt's power far beyond its borders. Amenhotep III filled Thebes with splendor, his colossal statues still standing in the fields today. Then came Ramesses II, the Great. He fought the Hittites at the Battle of Kadesh, carved his name into temples across the land, and raised the mighty Abu Simbel, its colossal statues guarding the southern frontier. In the temples of Karnak and Luxor, priests honored Amun-Ra, lord of the gods. Vast columns, towering obelisks, and sacred lakes reflected the glory of the divine. Egypt was the richest land of its age, its gold coveted, its kings remembered as gods. Part 5. Akhenaten and the Revolution of the Sun. Yet even in Egypt, change came. In the 14th century BCE, a pharaoh named Akhenaten turned away from the old gods. He declared that only Aten, the sun disk, was true. He closed temples, defied the powerful priesthood, and built a new capital at Amarna. His queen, the radiant Nefertiti, stood beside him, her image immortalized in sculpture that still captivates the world. Art changed, figures shown in intimacy, with children, with soft curves instead of rigid forms. It was a time unlike any before. But the people did not accept this revolution. After Akhenaten's death, the boy king Tutankhamun restored the old gods. Though Tutankhamun ruled only briefly, his tomb, sealed and hidden, would one day reveal treasures beyond imagination, untouched for over 3,000 years. Akhenaten's vision faded, but his story endures, a reminder of how even the most eternal traditions could be shaken by a single king. Part 6. The Twilight of the Pharaohs, Decline and Legacy. In the centuries that followed, Egypt's power waned. Foreign invaders came, Libyans, Assyrians, Persians, each leaving their mark upon the Nile. Then, in 332 BCE, Alexander the Great marched into Egypt. To the people, he was not a conqueror, but a liberator from Persian rule. They crowned him pharaoh, son of Amun, and he founded Alexandria, a city of learning and trade that would shine for centuries. After Alexander's death, his general Ptolemy took Egypt, beginning the dynasty of the Ptolemies. Greek and Egyptian traditions blended. The most famous of all was Cleopatra VII, who sought to preserve Egypt's independence, allying with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. But Rome's might was too great. In 30 BCE, after her death, Egypt became a province of the Roman Empire. Though the pharaohs were gone, Egypt's legacy never faded. Its monuments still tower above the sands. Its gods and myths lived on in new forms. Its art inspired ages. Its wisdom preserved in scrolls. From the Nile's first villages to the last queen, Egypt remains eternal. A land where the living and the dead, the mortal and the divine, walked side by side beneath the endless sun.